In today's video, we're going to talk about the types of industries: the basic industry, the capital goods industry, or the intermediate goods industry, and the consumer goods industries. All of this in a brief illustrated way, that classic Geo Illustrata style I know you like. So join me for the video. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Paolo, geography teacher. As always, it's a great pleasure to have you here with me on Geo Illustrata. And our video today is about types of industries. So, without further ado, let's get to the content. But before we get into the industries themselves, let's quickly set the context so you don't get lost, right? After all, what is industry? In short, industry is the sector that transforms raw materials into products. However, this transformation wasn't always the way we know it today, right? That has changed a lot throughout history. Before the invention of machines, for example, what prevailed were artisanal activities, which meant purely manual production. Later, manufacturing began to emerge, which still involves manual labor, but with the use of some machinery. Later, with the industrial revolutions, we had huge transformations in the ways of producing, including the implementation of large-scale production. That's where Fordism, Toyotism, and Taylorism come in. There's already a video on this topic. Check the card above or the video description. And nowadays, we have an extremely technological industry, right? The so-called Industry 4.0, which involves automation and also the large-scale implementation of artificial intelligence. Well, up to this point, it's all clear, right? Now that we've covered this context, let's explore types of industries: basic, capital goods, and consumer goods. Stay with me, as these industries are all interconnected. And at the end, I'll give you an example of how this integration happens. So let's start with basic industry, also called the producer goods industry. Basically, this industry transforms raw materials found in nature into processed raw materials, which will later be used in other industries. For example, we have the steel industry, which extracts iron ore and turns it into steel. We also have the petrochemical industry, which turns oil into fuel, plastic, and other derivatives. And maybe look, the basic industry doesn't produce the goods we use directly, but it makes their existence possible. Because without these raw materials, the production of any of the products we use wouldn't be possible, right? Well, the second type is the capital goods industry, also known as intermediate industries. This is pretty simple, okay? They are nothing more than industries that produce semi-finished goods, or even machines, equipment, automotive parts, which will be used by other industries that will then manufacture the final products. This type of industry is basically the intermediate link between the basic industry and the consumer goods industry, which we will talk about next. In other words, it does not sell directly to the consumer, but without it, the consumer goods industries would not be able to produce. And speaking of it, let's move on to the last one: consumer goods industries. But before that, just a quick message. You teachers who are watching me, do you still make your slides like this? So why don't you switch to this here with our Kit Slides Geo Illustrata? All the channel's videos in slide format with the Geo Illustrata quality you already know. So save time and impress your students with fantastic material. Want to check it out? Link is here in the video description. Well, but what are consumer goods industries? The name says it all, doesn't it? They're the industries that produce the final product ready for consumption. And here it basically produces three product segments: durable goods, semi-durable goods, and non-durable goods, which are obviously segmented according to their durability. The durable ones are those that are made to last a long time, for prolonged use. For example, within this category, we have automobiles, electronic products, and furniture. The ones that furnish our homes. All made to last a long time. Teacher, but my cell phone broke in a week. No, that was because you were careless. Because it was made to last. Semi-durables are those with an intermediate lifespan, like shoes, some clothing, and that kind of product. And non-durables are those that are consumed quickly. Here we basically have food, cosmetics, and medicine. In short, these are perishable products, right, that have an expiration date. Now you remember that I said these industries are interconnected, don't you? Let's go to the example I promised at the beginning about how this happens. And for that, let's take a product you use that you're probably using right now, which is your cell phone. So look, in the basic industry, raw materials are extracted, right? Iron ore, copper, oil, which will be used to make plastic, among others. In the capital goods industry, high-precision machinery will be made, as well as robots, right? These will assemble the boards and processors of the devices, and the consumer goods industry, in turn, will take these parts and do the assembly, the design, the packaging, the software installation, thus producing the final, finished cell phone, ready for consumption. Tell me in the comments, did you get it? Pretty straightforward, right? Here are two suggested videos on your screen. One on industrial production models and another on the Industrial Revolution. All good? Thanks for watching until the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Take care. Bye-bye.